Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Are you looking for a G3 boat? Bob Hodge was, and he found his at Madisonville Marine. Well, right now through December 10th, you can get factory rebates of up to $1,500 back on select models of G3 boats. That's John boats, pontoons, bass boats. Go check out the selection and prices for yourself at Mad Marine. I'm going to see if I can't talk them into a John boat, just for the sake of giving it to me. All right, guys, hot read segment means 2 quick questions. The first one, remarkably, Tennessee actually recovered 2 onside kicks yesterday. And credit to Aaron Medley, those were good kicks. The first one came back. They initially thought Tennessee had illegally touched the ball. They looked at the video. Missouri touched it first. They went back to the initial flag, which was offsides. Let's take a look. I think we had this play. And there are 2 different ways to read this rule. Last night, looking it up, the word plane was mentioned. The kicker can break the plane. A holder, if you're using a holder, can break the plane. But when he touches the football, no one else is supposed to break that plane. As you can see there, Jalen Reeves-Maybin may have had a helmet or an arm across the line. Side judges down there, that's a bang-bang play. On an onside kick, though, they are specifically watching for this. Now, Jimmy, in the past, you've talked to Rocky Good, who said it's about sort of the neutral zone there, and you're not supposed to have your foot into it. You will have Rocky on your show tomorrow, is that correct?
We will. He'll be joining us Monday night, and typically what he has said in the past is that it wasn't about the plane, it's whether or not your foot hit on the other side. Because if your foot is in the air across the plane, officials aren't going to call that. So now, rules have changed through the years, as we know. We've got targeting, we've got different replay things that you can look at. So whether that's changed or not, but that was my understanding. You see all the time where teams run down the field, they have a guy with a leg up in the air across the plane, and it's not called. Maybe they look at it differently on an onside kick.
Supposedly they watch it on onside kick more than they do a regular kickoff, because regular kickoff, what's a 1-foot jump going to matter?
Right.
Onside kick, any kind of advantage to the kicking team is an advantage to the kicking team.
Well, I think the problem you have right there for the side official, and probably why it got called, is Maven is ahead of everybody else. And so that's where they're good. That's where if everybody else was right in line with him at the same moment in time, they wouldn't have called it. But because he's that farther ahead, they're going to call that. They're just going to assume that guy's offside.
And see, in real time, I think a lot of us thought, they might have been just a little bit ahead.
I was surprised when I stopped it that they weren't
that close. And so it always, a lot of times, comes down to that angle you have. And I think this also may be part of the whole concussion thing too, and not wanting the kicking team to get a little bit of edge when they're coming down trying to block and hit the guys on the other side of the other team.
I walked away from that. I understand why fans were confused by it. Certainly the broadcasters were confused by it. I think the officials, they if you look at it in hindsight, they called it the right way, but I think they chose an odd roundabout way of using it verbiage-wise. But in the end, I don't think that had anything. That wasn't the reason you lost the game. I'm not so sure you were going to go down and score and get another 2-point conversion to tie that thing anyway. Question number 2. Quick thoughts on, you had rape allegations come out last Sunday against A.J. Johnson and Mike Williams. The University of Tennessee acted quickly. Now, Butch Jones gets credit for the suspensions. You got to rest assured that the president of the university on down had a hand in that as well. Your thoughts on the decisive, quick action of Butch Jones? I mean, before anybody says, no, you didn't have any other choice, look at Florida State.
Yeah, exactly.
You've had other choices. You had other choices. They chose the stiff penalty. Do you agree with that? Disagree with that?
Most of the other choices were bad. I think he had to do what he did, because what would it have been like? Tennessee wins this ball game last night.
Yep.
Johnson has a huge game, and then Saturday morning he's charged with rape. I just don't think you could have.
Jimbo Fisher doesn't seem to care about that.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
But I think Butch Jones does. I think Butch Jones handled it well, and Jimbo Fisher's a moron.
Bingo.
I think this. Jimbo Fisher's trying to win one more national championship. Who cares about the program and the longevity of the program? I think you have Butch Jones, who's looking at a 6-6 season, hopefully get to a bowl game. But I've got to build a program. Having something like that ruins your chances of a program, because I think everybody understands right now why people want Florida State to lose. It's because of how they've handled that situation, and they're a pariah now in the league as being win at any cost don't care.
I'm surprised the administration at Florida State has not stepped in at some point over Jimbo Fisher and overruled him. But
If they were 5-5, they might have.
yeah, there you go. They've won a lot more. Okay. Your thoughts on what UT did?
I think Tennessee needed to go in that direction. A lot of it's what Bob said. If all of a sudden they are charged with this, you can't have that. And that's not saying whether they're guilty or not. I don't know if they are.
Right.
Obviously, it's a sorry story either way.
Yeah.
Whether they did it or they're falsely accused, it's a bad story
Yes.
either way.
And
But
see, with Coach Jones, and a lot of us know and have heard how much time they spend talking about this and addressing not just this, but certain type of situation and saying, here are the expectations and here are the repercussions. It also shows me the difference between Butch Jones and Derek Dooley. Because Derek Dooley would not have suspended somebody
There are
unless he
enough
would have just
differences
had
between
to.
those two. You could write a book.
Yeah, there's a Grand Canyon between those two. There are some people that continue to try and, well, he's another Dooley. That guy's on one side of the canyon and Butch Jones on the other. I think he's the first UT coach in a long while who would have acted this quickly with this kind of thing. So, I mean, you've had the last 2 or 3 coaches who have tended to on maybe in this a sexual assault, but you've had some guys in some violent crimes that got a pass. And Butch Jones hasn't shown that with Trayvon Polk or in this situation.
Well, and I think we also have to look at what's happened this year in the NFL.
Yeah,
And
that plays
violence
well.
towards women, I think overall, I don't think anybody really, except for Florida State, can mess around with this. I think you're going to see more of this kind of reaction by other schools as saying it's an automatic. If you get accused of this or sexual assault or something like this, you're suspended until we figure out what else happened.
I think that we'll end it on this, but I also think that it would make it more difficult to recruit, I would think, because you're going into a living room to talk dads, players, and moms. And if it's harder to look a mom in the eye and say, yeah, we let these guys play even though X. That'd be a little rough on the recruiting trail, I would think. All right, when we come back, we'll bring out our Vol for Life crew, 4 ex-Vols here, former Vols, however you want to voice it. They'll all be here on the desk, and we're going to talk about some drops from the receivers. We're going to talk about the offensive line and its woes. We're going to talk about the Neyland Stadium turf, which actually that turf monster bit UT last night. We'll talk about all that coming back on the Sports Source.